It's time for Cup of Red, so let's fill your cup with rad pop culture vibes. And now your over-caffeinated hosts, Mike and Katie. Hey kids, it's Mike from Cup of Rad, and...
I'm Katie.
That's right, and this is episode 50. 50. That's right, we've been coming at you almost weekly for an entire year now.
Yes.
Which is pretty amazing. Coming into those ears with all of our interesting conversations.
That's a nice way to put it.
Well, yeah, it is. It's you know, from...
Sometimes it's weird and quirky, and sometimes it's deep and meaningful. And...
yeah, everything from pop culture to movies and TV and parenting, because, you know, we're parents and all, and everything. And that's what's kind of fun about the show is that we're not in a box.
No, we don't like boxes.
We don't, no. We like to be out of the box.
All over the place.
All over the walls. Everywhere. And that's what you're getting today. You're getting Cup of Rad's first anniversary episode.
Woohoo!
Dun 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 dun. That was about it for that excitement.
Well, what did we do special for our first anniversary?
Well, for our first anniversary, we went over to Instagram and we collected all of our Instagram followers, put them in one of those little thingamajiggies, and we gave away a little surprise package of radness.
Woohoo!
That's right. One of our listeners, Monica, ended up getting a cup of rad and some soap from Vanity Soap Works, and a little bath bomb. Awesome. It was all themed for the Halloween spirit.
Yes.
And also we gave away one of your Sailor Moon minis.
Oh yeah, I had one that I didn't need double, so it worked out perfect.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool, and we lucked out. The listener was local, so we were actually able to hand it off, which is pretty cool.
That was pretty
a stroke
insane
of
to think about.
Luck, right?
So, like, actually, I can deliver this.
Yeah. Well, most of our listeners are from down under.
Yeah, honestly, Australia
there, which was pretty wild. So I was like, I prepared my contest earlier in hopes then
to plan
for the shipping. And then it was like, boom. So, which was pretty awesome. So
I'll just have to do more giveaways.
Yeah, we need to get more cups of rad out to people. We do. And if you want a cup of rad, let us know, and we'll, see how many we can order.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, right? Everything is always cheaper when you order more of them. So if we have people asking for them, then we can go from there.
Hit us up, because you want a cup of rad while you listen to us, because the ones we have given away, I get tons of photos from people always having their cups of rad and enjoying it. So it's always a good time.
What do we have in our cup of rad today, Mike?
Well, because it's the time of the season, we
suddenly became fall, like with vengeance. It was like instantly dropped in temperature and it is cold. So we have a warm beverage.
Yeah, we have a magic potion. It's purple.
Tea. It's purple. It's awesome.
It's an herbal tea. We're staying a little decaffeinated right now.
Yeah.
We're always over-caffeinated.
We're going to come back down off of because, coffee is amazing, but we've had a lot of coffee. We got to take a little bit of a break and have some later. But,
so because we're
it's
going into
potion. It's awesome.
The Halloween season.
Yeah,
because that's what it is to me. The Halloween season. It's not fall.
It's not fall. It's
Halloween.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you never. Honestly, up until today, I've been just begrudging. Like I love fall, and because I love Halloween, but this year I had a really hard time letting go of summer. Like, I really just didn't want to see the end of it.
Well, we didn't really have a lot of summer.
Because it hasn't been wet. Yeah, it hasn't really been a lot of warmth. And I was really just rocking my shorts and my tank tops and loving that. And then all of a sudden today hit and I walked outside. I had pants and a long sleeve shirt on, but it was oh my gosh, it is super fall. I'm like, long sleeve shirts, here we come. This is what's happening.
Everything else is in storage. This is me now.
This is me. So I'm like, okay, I feel fall now. And definitely, we've already started prep for Halloween. And
we did, yes. Yeah.
It's the Halloween season.
It is the Halloween season because, the topic of this episode is our kickoff to Halloween.
We start from the beginning, the classics, man.
And we are going to be dipping into Universal Monsters this week. And it's Universal Monsters time. What do you think when you think of the Universal Monsters?
Well, you know what? Honestly, because we went to Universal so much, now I know so I see the posters and everything, and I just think the black and white. And honestly, I always think of Frankenstein.
That's your first and foremost?
He's the first and foremost to think about for that.
Interesting. Well, Universal Monsters for me was brought to me by my grandfather. As much as he was very, no nonsense kind of thing, that was his fantasy monsters. Like if it came to any like superheroes or anything, it was just that was like that's crap.
Oh, okay.
Right? But when it came to like if you wanted to see something, here these are what you watch. So I was introduced to Dracula and Wolfman and Frankenstein and Invisible Man and Creature of the Black Lagoon. All that was like some of the younger things that I saw before he made me watch Hitchcock movies.
Oh. Yeah, see, I never grew up on any of those. My parents were not fans of Universal Monster movies.
Yeah.
So I never saw any of them until I met you.
Okay.
I would have known about them and knew that they existed and everything, but not in any sort of real sense. So I was lacking culture.
Well, that's the thing is like when you look back at those, they are fantastic representations of the time. And when you see them, you think this was horror back then.
Right?
This is what terrified people. This is what had people running out of the theaters, screaming, having nightmares.
Right. And it's hard to wrap my head around that.
Compared to now, it's like G-rated, right? Because these movies came out in the 30s, And Universal Studios was sort of the father of the horror movie when it came to developing the monsters and having,
they were definitely the forefront of that.
And that's like one of their legacy is these creatures that they created and the makeup that went into it and the everything to sort of grasp in the filming of it, and the sets and everything.
Yeah, see now they're more to look at is more of the history of filmmaking more than anything. Right?
Yeah. You get into it a lot deeper with seeing that and seeing how it's changed and what they did. Because it was at that time, that stuff was very high tech.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and also, too, being the aspect of how old it was with it being black and white, having to figure out how to make up and dress them so that certain things would come across a certain way. To me, I think is really impressive. Because now we can make anything any color we want. But then how do you convey different shades of gray to make it the style that you want? To me, that takes a special eye.
And that's why Frankenstein is considered green, because he was painted green because that's what looked best on camera.
That was how to make him look a different color. But, which is impressive for sure.
So last year we ended up watching Dracula.
Yes.
And we watched The Wolfman. And we showed Kiddo these because we figured it was time to be able to introduce those to him. Unfortunately...
And I had never seen them, so... Whoopsies.
Unfortunately, Katie and Kiddo don't really remember Dracula.
I don't know. We had this conversation last night. I was like... We both were looking at Mike and we're like, he showed us a trailer and everything, and seriously, I cannot recall it at all, which is really
Neither
sad.
of them can, because
I remember Wolfman every moment of it.
Right.
I do not remember
because we
Dracula.
put them on during the Canadian Thanksgiving. Yeah. And that was our thing last year. But yeah, unfortunately, it was just not remembered.
Totally over my head, so... Kiddo's like, well, apparently we need to watch it again.
Right?
Maybe we'll watch ones we know we haven't watched before and then go from there. We're like, we understand the gist of Dracula. We get it.
Look into my eyes, Mina.
Yeah, see, it's so weird. Like, I can't now quite tell if there's, like, real memories or things that I think I saw or you, like...
I'm just in the closet with my cape on.
You know it.
Look at me. Look into my eyes. Yes. Go to the window. Uh-huh. Go to the window, Katie.
That's happening sometime, I'm sure now.
Probably. But so this year, we decided to do Frankenstein.
Yes.
And we did Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. And the reason why I picked Frankenstein meets the Wolfman is because Universal Studios Hollywood Horror Nights, something that I would love to go back to, is doing Frankenstein meets the Wolfman maze.
Yeah, so it was like instantly, it was like, well, we're going to do a maze theme, so we're going to watch this movie.
Exactly, because when we went to Horror Nights, those few years that we went we watched all the horror movies that they were using for mazes. And then last year we watched a few ones that were going to be mazes as well. So we're kind of keeping that tradition alive.
Yeah.
So we decided to do Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
And we figured we had to watch Frankenstein then.
Yeah, because we hadn't watched it with you guys and you didn't remember it. So we're going to roll into Frankenstein. So Frankenstein, the universal monster, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the most known monster, I'm going to say, besides Dracula.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't really know about the Wolfman. I mean, I knew about werewolves. Yeah. But the idea of a Wolfman or the Invisible Man, all this sort of stuff, those are definitely secondary. But everyone knows Dracula and Frankenstein.
Yeah. And Boris Karloff, the guy that played Frankenstein, he also played the monster. The monster, sorry.
He is not Frankenstein.
Yes.
He's actually the monster.
Well,
It's always, that was always a weird concept for me. I always thought Frankenstein was the monster.
Yeah, it's Frankenstein's monster. And when I first learned about
that, I'm like, what do you mean he's not Frankenstein? No, he's the monster.
Yeah.
And that was a weird switch for me. It was hard to comprehend.
But Frankenstein, the whole legacy of Frankenstein has gone on forever and it's been retold and reimagined a bazillion times.
Well, because the concept of us being able to control life and death is something that every human
desires, wants, craves.
Yeah, we want to know that secret, right?
Yeah.
It drives us mad. And so it's such a simple human story.
But isn't it crazy, though, to think that story was written how many hundreds of years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And it still had the whole theme of, you didn't think if you could,
like Michael
right?
Crichton, you just asked if you could do it, not if you should do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like
scientists make people, science makes people crazy. That unknowable.
Yeah.
I just want to know if I can do it, and it's not a bother of the philosophical whether I should or shouldn't do it.
Yeah, and we keep finding
that's why philosophy is just as important as science.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to say that's hard because I'm such a science person. Like, oh my gosh, right?
But then that's the idea of listening to our hearts and realizing that those that write fiction do have a window into something that they're trying to tell people that things should change or shouldn't change depending on what they're doing.
Yep.
Right? There is a reason why all these works of fiction are written. Right. They're cautionary tales of what can and may not happen.
Well, and that's the thing that's funny is we think of fairy tales as something that was supposed to always be like a cautionary tale for children, and we just once we're adults, we're like, we don't need a story to help us tell us what we should and shouldn't do. Why are we listening to these? And then we have all the, especially science fiction stories, that should tell us what we should and shouldn't do. And we're like, yeah, that's nice.
We gleefully run past them and be like,
let's figure this out. And I don't understand why we don't learn from that.
Right? We're sidetracking.
But I digress. There we go.
But yeah, so Frankenstein, we got to watch that.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on watching the original Frankenstein?
You know what? I did enjoy it. It was dramatic, of course, because, I wouldn't have expected any less now after watching some, The Wolfman and what I did remember of Dracula, that it's not any sort of action movie at all. It's definitely more of a drama. And when you think about it, with the idea of Frankenstein, it is about Frankenstein, the doctor, and the people around him. It's not so much of a story of the monster, right? And I was laughing last night because I was telling you that my version I grew up of Frankenstein was young Frankenstein, which totally changes my concept of everything, right? Because then I watched the movie and I'm like, oh, this should happen. This is not young Frankenstein. Like, oh my goodness, it's not based on this at all. Like, totally take it back there. So less humor, of course, than I would be used to, right?
And a lot less sex.
And definitely less of that. And so I mean, being myself and my family who loves to quote movies, I tried to shoehorn quotes in there, which was hilarious. I'm like, what is wrong with you? But I really did enjoy it though, for what it was. Yeah. It was impressive to see it. And I liked almost looking at the film aspect of it and looking at the different sets and the good and the bad, some of the corny aspect of it, and the sets that are really interesting and how they can make all of that work. And I enjoyed it.
The beauty of it is that craft of those sound stages that they made.
Oh yeah,
those scenes that they created from just being indoors. You can hear it. You can totally hear that.
It sounds like they're in a giant room.
Because, 1930.
It was 1931 was Frankenstein.
So they don't have the greatest in mic quality and soundproofing and all that. So you can hear the echo and all that. But it's just seeing that they built castles and they created all these things for them to mill about and do their things.
Like the things that burn, like the windmill and everything, all lighting on fire and everything. So.
Like, it's just impressive. One thing that I totally had forgotten about with watching it again was the opening where the guy comes out and it's like a play and it's the whole like, this might shock you. This might thrill you. This is too horrific for some. Those that are squeamish might want to leave now.
Right?
And it's just amazing to think.
Like the people who couldn't handle the concept of bringing back something back from life. From death, right?
And to think that back then, seeing what they saw on screen was so horrific, but now you walk into a horror movie and you literally see people's guts fall out.
And we're so desensitized.
And we're just like whatever. That didn't look too real. Whatevs,
Oh, that looked like it hurt.
Yeah. But back in the 30s, they were like, oh my goodness, they showed
showed them grave
robbing.
And like, that was the most,
egads!
Right?
I'm going to faint. Right? And it's almost, as much as those times were harder, I can see where it's the idea where, man, it was simpler and easier almost because you lived in a different kind of. We also ended up. I guess you ended up seeing a lot more in reality, harder things. Yeah. So it was.
I just think it's a sad reflection now.
Oh, it is
that we are so desensitized. Like, I know even for us though, it takes a lot for us to be squeamish about something, and to be so desensitized to something so horrific, or as I say, it's more of the concept of the philosophy of dealing with life and death and going against nature almost, right? And how okay we are with that. And there's a good and a bad to it, right? That we should be more accepting of the science aspect of things and not so shunned with the concept of at least inquiring about it. Not like I am saying we should go raise people or grave rob, just clarifying that. but at least questioning things, right? And yeah, it's a weird reflection of our time for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I like the sets in it. It's just fun. I like watching it. I think Carlos does an amazing job as the monster.
Yeah, I was really impressed by that.
Because there's been so many different versions that I've seen, and
I thought it was interesting too. I was reading the notes. Like, I myself have never read the novel, and I know, look at you like that.
Really?
No. You know what? It was because
that's like classic.
Okay, so
I've read it. And I don't read classics.
I used to collect classic literature in high school, and that was one of the ones I just never did collect. And ironically, so many of my friends read it because they were in a different English class, and I decided to like skate through senior year of English, and I took a lesser class, and so I missed out on reading Frankenstein in school. So I never was required to read it, and then I just never did, which is sad, I know, but I'm trying to admit it.
Well, see, but what
I thought was interesting though is that with Universal though, they created their own monster for it, right? It is not Mary Shelley's Frankenstein design, right? And I didn't know that, right?
Yeah, so. It's the most iconic version that is not the iconic version from the book.
Yeah, they wanted to make it what looked like cool on screen, right?
Yeah,
which I don't blame them.
And in reality, there was a lot of more shifty practices back in the day.
Like the fact that
they changed things.
The doctor's name was Henry Frankenstein, and then Victor was another friend there.
Yeah. So to get away from certain licensing and all this, that, throughout all Hollywood's beauty, they have their ways to make things work.
Yeah.
But when you get into something closer to like the one that had Robert De Niro as the monster, that's a little closer to.
Well, there's a movie called Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
and he's more puffy and gray, and
what it really would be like. If you brought
in reality, when you think about it, Frankenstein is actually just a zombie.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the weird thing because
he's just reanimated flesh, I guess. But
but a zombie is technically.
I guess it's look at the reality because the zombie is supposed to be dead and then reanimated. You're right.
Look at the actual when you go back to the Haitian zombies when they're actually created from living people that have been just drugged to be in a comatose state
True.
that they can be controlled.
True.
They're just kind of and their mouths are stitched shut, and sometimes their eyes as well.
Yeah.
But it's just the idea of reanimating something.
Yeah.
You know,
And
Reanimator is still just a zombie movie.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
It's you know, so
I think it's an interesting concept with the science nerd of me gets interested in the idea that we are just energy, and I think that's part of the issue with, say, the horror aspect of the concept is the bringing in of the religion and a soul and all that sort of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess there is a commentary, though, is that the fact that you reanimated something, it is a monster because you can't reanimate the soul idea, right? You know, so there's a big question and discussion that can happen right there, which is really awesome. Actually, it can take such a simple thing, and you can go even just basic, you know, a monster is after me and it's scary, to a deeper philosophical question, right? So
yeah, totally. So
what did Kiddo think of it?
He liked it.
Yeah,
he liked it. He thought it was interesting. You said he liked the drama.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I asked him if it was funny or scary or like how he would describe it. He said it was dramatic. Yeah. But he paid attention to it.
Oh, yeah. He instantly asked what we were watching next.
Yeah.
So that shows that he is excited for them.
Yeah. I think for him too, bringing him to Universal and doing, you know, all the backlot tours and everything like that, I think even for him, he's interested in the concept of making a movie and what it would take. And he thinks he can tell those differences in the sound stages and the movie quality. And I think one of the things I've always been drawn to you is your knowledge of history of film and your appreciation throughout its decades and its improvements and its, you know, changes and everything. And I like that we're giving him a better dose of where something comes from, because I didn't have that so much, you know, only to a certain extent. And I think there's a lot of that is we saw at Universal just being around people who had no idea movies back from like the 60s even idea. Mm-hmm. So not to mention farther back. Yeah. And to really appreciate what is now, right?
I think you can really help someone see the hard work that goes into film.
Yeah.
And seeing how, and if you watch all types, you're not stuck in just one. If you go everywhere and you can see, you're always going to have your favorites, right? Mm-hmm. There's always going to be those genres that are your thing and all that. But if you go everywhere from A to Z type films, then you can see that and almost appreciate what goes into creating maybe an A movie.
Right? Because if you only ever watch those movies and you've never seen a C movie, how can you actually claim and how can you do decent reviews on something without having anything else to compare it to?
Yeah, you need to have a good appreciation for everything, and you're going to find stuff that is weird and wonky that is just your jam.
Right.
And I've got those.
And you have those, yeah.
So, you know, it's good to learn and it's good to experience different filmmakers and different genres and different time periods. And I think that really is a great thing. And that's one thing with watching the Universal Monsters. Yeah. Because it's something that we can show Kiddo that is interesting, but to give him a snippet of almost film history versus, say, some of the stuff from film history that he's not going to be as okay with, right? Because some of the stuff can get pretty long in the tooth and pretty like drawn out, or you're skating a little bit more on some issues, cultural sensitivity issues, where the Universal Monsters are,
cultural,
right?
Or romance, stuff like that are like too drawn out. Yeah. And this kind of fits a good genre for sure.
Yeah, right. And it's a great way to introduce them to horror. Yeah. So, and with that, we move on to Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. So we finally stepped into sequel territory.
Dun dun. It was the first time that two monsters had been together on set.
There you go. One of the first big verses.
Yes.
You know?
Because, I mean, everyone loves that. Right?
It was F versus W.
Yeah. So this was in 43. So quite a bit different. We could see a huge jump in the quality of the film, especially the sound. I noticed that first and foremost. It didn't have that big echoey room. It didn't have the extra noise. It was much clearer and crisper of sound for sure.
So the story of Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, if you haven't seen it, basically is Talbot wakes up He is the Wolfman.
It's been 4 years.
It's been 4 years. He did not die from his gunshot wound, which everyone thought he had. Mm-hmm. And he wakes up, and he is still plagued with the werewolf curse. So he is mad, running around trying to figure out how
because he's trying to
get
tell
rid
people.
of it.
He doesn't. Of course, isn't happy with this curse, and he's trying to tell people that he's a rabid wolf man and he's going to kill people. And everyone's like, well, I don't know who you're talking about. He's dead and you're crazy. And he is faced with living eternally, just completely breaking about that, right? So he wants to break the curse so that he can die.
So he goes and he finds the old gypsy woman that helped him before, and she says, we must go find Frankenstein.
He doesn't tell him that. He just tells him she knows a man.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I know a man. We must go, and we will travel for a long time on bumpy road with horses and amazing green screen behind us. It's fantastic. It moves faster than the horses do. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was so apparent. Oh my goodness.
I love too how Lon Chaney lays there, and he's got in one scene he's got the straw in his mouth, and he's just like,
he looks so happy.
Yeah, he just looks over. It's like, sup? I'm with a gypsy woman on a wagon. I just need a guitar.
Their green screen changes so much too, but yeah. It's.
I guess it wasn't technically green screen back then. It was like just a screen playing.
Like real. Yeah, I guess that's why it's different. It was actually like a screen behind them or something.
Yeah, and
then they were just sitting in front of the
moving
set.
screen. Yeah. So they finally go and they go to find where the Frankenstein.
The ruins
castle
where they were. Yeah, well, they find out. So yeah, I thought it was another concept here, though, is that because it was in the 40s there, they didn't actually place it in Germany.
Yeah. Because
of the war, they placed it in a fictional location. So, but
well, yeah,
I don't know.
They had to.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they find this giant ruins there, and
but they all still wore lederhosen.
They did. They did. We told Kiddo we were going to buy him a lederhosen outfit to be able to wear, and he was just like, "I'm not going to pay attention to what you're talking
5 days of lederhosen."
That's good. And so Frankenstein is dead.
Yep.
They burn him and the monster to the ground,
or so they thought.
I know, right? Foreshadowing right there. And so the Baroness, his daughter, is there, and they're he's trying to track her down. Then,
yep. And he goes to the castle, and he falls into a snowy cave.
Oh, before that, I think it's funny. He goes into the bar though, right? And they're like, "Oh, we don't want anything to do with you," and he just freaks out. Talbot just gets in their faces like, how dare you try to kick me out? And he just goes nuts. Like, dude, you are not making any friends.
No, not at all.
You're not even the Wolfman. You don't even have a reason to be
shows how broken he is, right?
Yeah, he's just so angry and desperate, right? So, but yeah, then he goes into this just giant cave underneath.
And this really bothered Kiddo.
He was so upset. He's like, why is there snow? Because there was not a single ounce of snow
anywhere else
above ground.
But just in this cave.
And it was like Ice Age worthy down there.
Yeah, and he's like, so he finds Frankenstein's monster, and he's able to break him out.
Yes.
And this
so easily too. It was great.
Oh yeah, just a few rock hits and boom.
Yeah. And then he pulls this over 6 foot tall man out of this little tiny hole. Oh, it was fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff.
But this time around, Boris Karloff did not play the monster.
No.
It was instead Dracula legend Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, he wanted to play it this time because he was promised lines.
Yeah.
And that's why he didn't play it originally in Frankenstein, because he didn't have any lines and he thought he was better than that. And so when it came to this, though, I guess they did preview screenings, though, when he did talk, and everyone laughed. So they ended up cutting his lines, so he didn't get any lines.
Yeah.
I thought that was... So it's the only time he ever played Frankenstein.
Yeah. Hey, what I like, and I love watching Tim Burton's Ed Wood, and they show how in that kind of that fictional biopic how angry Bela Lugosi was about Karloff. And if you haven't seen,
this makes me want to watch Ed Wood again.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Ed Wood from Tim Burton with Johnny Depp and Martin Landau, it's a fantastic movie. It's another black and white. But you get some great lines from Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
Screaming about Karloff. So
see, now it just makes me want to watch that again.
We're trying to keep it safe for work, so
we can't really go farther than that.
Go find it and let us know. But yeah, so you have them finding the journal from Frankenstein and about how they can siphon energies and change things. So the
concept that, Frankenstein is alive, the monster is alive because he's just been supercharged with energy. Anything dies because it runs out of energy, and which is in reality a simple concept.
Yeah.
And that he's been, as I say, supercharged.
121 gigawatts.
Exactly. So that they just need to drain the energy off of them, basically, right? So, yeah, nice. So then the doctor who...
It kept it universal still, though.
You did. That has been helping Talbot there has decided... He falls prey to the
journal?
I can do this, and the journal. And he goes totally off the wall, runs right into it, and just takes over Frankenstein's place there.
Yep. Supercharges Frankie.
Tries to kill the Wolfman and supercharges the monster instead. So,
and then we get a battle royale.
You want to call it that, huh? You really want to call it a battle royale? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The original verses.
The original verses.
It's it has a special place then, man.
The Wolfman jumps on Frankenstein about 6 times.
Constantly has the high ground,
and they. And then we get...
And then he throws him across the wall the room a few times.
Yep. And those are like real stunts.
They were stuntmans. Well, yeah, that was one of the things too. Like, I read so much more about the stuntmans being on set than anything else. So. And
they just throw each other around the room.
Yeah. It was awesome too because you could tell the difference between when all of a sudden it was a close-up shot. It was like Bela Lugosi, and then all of a sudden it was like he looked completely different. It was a stuntman. He was so much smaller.
And then we got to your favorite part of the movie.
It just ended. It just ended. It was the most disappointing thing because they break the
blow
water.
Up the dam.
They blow up the dam.
The townspeople blow up the dam.
The water goes down onto and then it just
washes the castle away with them fighting inside.
And it's so funny because the remains of this castle look so tiny compared to the giant room they are in underground, right? So the stuff's washing away, which I was like, okay, just focus on the really cool bricks washing away in the water. Like, that's cool. And then it just said the end.
Title card.
And I was just
end.
like, what?
No conclusion, nothing.
We don't know. There's not even like, we think one of them actually defeated the other. Like, nothing.
It shows even way back then, versus movies don't work because there's never a definitive who wins when you have 2 fan favorites.
Yes. So they didn't even look like they both passed. Like, this little bits of water that's going on there is not going to kill them. Are you kidding me? The one was dead somewhere
for 4 years.
One was in ice. Frozen in ice. You think some water is going to kill them? It's just going to wash them down the canyon. Like,
to another town.
Oh, I did not handle that well. I just sat there just kind of yelling at the TV for a little while.
That's what was fantastic, though, because it was just ended, and you were just like, what? This is how... No.
Yep. Versus movies never work out.
Right? So... But on that note, though, moment it was over, Kiddo was like, how can we watch more of these?
Yes.
So he is really invested in them.
Out of the two of them, he liked Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman more. He said he liked... I don't really know exactly why he liked it. I don't know if he really even gave me a reason, but maybe he just knows more of the Wolfman, or maybe because it was a little bit newer,
it was a little faster.
Cleaner and faster, a little bit more going on with things. He loved the angry mobs. Yes. In both Frankenstein and this one. It was hilarious. So he was talking all about in Frankenstein, like why there was an angry mob and what they were doing. We were trying to kind of
this town really likes to get their mobs together.
Really and then in the Wolfman, he's like, there's a mob, but where's their pitchforks and their torches? Like, what the heck's going on? No, they have
lanterns and
guns now. They've moved up on the ranks there. But yeah, he thought it was so funny that they have an angry mob again.
Yep.
Like, that's what we do.
The stereotypes of a monster movie, right?
Right.
But yeah, he really got a kick out of it, and he asked to see more, so we're going to have to figure out how to watch some more of those. Let's see if I can find more of the Universal monsters.
Yeah.
Because I think
we showed him the trailer for the Invisible Man, the Creature of the Black Lagoon, and he's like, "That's the first time that I've actually kind of felt scared." I don't know what about that one, but that one like actually freaked him out. Yeah. So now I want to find it and watch it.
Oh, and we love watching the old trailers because we were watching some of the old trailers and like
they are hilarious.
The big big writing comes across. This might terrify you.
Yeah.
The horrific conclusion.
I think in the Wolfman, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, it was something like, a whole year worth of scares in 2 hours. Like, it was a lifetime of scares in 2 hours. Yep. I was like, oh wow, this is
intense.
Impressive.
This is gonna be.
Kiddo thought it was funny that it was just words. Yeah. Like there's no narration. He's like, there's nothing telling me about the story.
It's just
I have to read.
Thrills, chills, bone-curdling screams.
Yeah, and then just makes you want to make a movie.
Yeah,
I think we should make a film.
We should make an old-timey monster movie.
Yeah,
Cabaret's House of Horrors.
Yeah, there you go. Oh well, it's happening now.
Well, you know what? This was something takes us back to Frankenstein, though. The entire time I was watching Frankenstein, all I could help with think of is I want Bill Hader to do his Vincent Price in a full movie.
Oh, yeah. Every time I was like, now I can't unsee Bill Hader. Now I just see him instead.
Right?
Yeah.
Welcome to Vincent Price's Halloween special.
Yes. It'd be good stuff.
But do you want to continue watching?
I do, actually, because there are things that I haven't seen. So I feel like, it's good for me to be able to know more about them and have a little bit more of that history for things. And I definitely would like to keep watching them, which I know it means we have to find them somehow because they're not easy to find. But I would like to watch more of the Frankenstein movies because there were so many of them.
Oh, yeah. And Bride, House, Son.
Yeah, Ghost.
It's like Chucky.
Right? So many of them. And then you realize when you see that type of stuff, you're like, okay, so the new horror movies that they do with the monsters and everything, they're just following the original stuff. Yeah, they just over and over and over rehash them.
To look at, to see it when people complain about all the sequels. And you're like, dude, just look back there. Back then. That's what happened. They churn them out. Right?
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting because I saw all those and I was like, that reminds me of, anything else right now that we laugh at all the sequels, but that was set up from the very beginning, right?
Same with Dracula, same with Wolfman, all of them. They all have like a bazillion sequels.
Yeah.
There was something, though, that I wanted to make a point of. So with how that movie ended, too, how disappointed you were, right? And there is something where we were talking earlier about the idea that maybe people need to start watching a bit more older movies to get appreciation for where movies are from. Could you imagine if a movie ended like that today?
Well, you know what? I remember having this conversation this summer here when we watched Jaws. Remember how Jaws just stopped?
Yeah.
And it technically concluded, but we were so used to having more of a wind down.
Yeah. The epilogue.
Yeah. And it reminded me of that concept that we are just not used to something just stopping. And this one was really abrupt because you had no actual true conclusion. It was more of like the make your own plan. But yeah, it's a different concept for sure because that would never be accepted now to just stop and end. There would be outrage. And so I definitely liked Karloff better for Frankenstein.
Yeah,
I like the design, the look of him better than
he wasn't as puffy.
Yeah, like Karloff was skinnier and taller and more bony, and I like that design much better. Yeah, for sure.
That's your classic Frankie.
Yeah, so I could tell the difference. It was like, no, this is not right.
Yeah, when I watch these movies,
# not my Frankenstein.
When I watch these movies, though, all I can think about really is that I just want a company to make some really good looking Universal monster figures.
Yeah.
Like either NECA or Mezco to make those like the old classics. I know Diamond Select did a few years ago, but I'm not a big fan of Diamond Select's like articulation and all that.
Oh, okay.
I think NECA would do a good job just because they'd be cheaper. Mezco would be fantastic.
The only way it would be for Dracula, though, he needs to be able to hold his arm across his face. Yeah. I guess that has to happen. So it's that or nothing.
Mezco 112.
Yeah.
Mezco, if you're listening, 112 up those Universal monsters. Because that would be amazing.
Right?
Right? Cloth versions of all those. Yeah. Little Lon Chaney Wolfman.
Yeah.
You know what? That's something, too, that I was talking to you after, though. Because Universal has tried many times to reboot and reinvigorate their Universal monsters, right? And they failed so many times. Van Helsing, right? Dracula Untold.
Yeah.
The Mummy, right? They've had all these movies that just have not been able to inspire to make a new monster legacy.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it is because they think, too grand, right? Everything becomes special effects paloozas where everything gets muddied by CG, and it just becomes so cartoony and fake.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's one of the problems with all three of those movies. Is there's just even the Mummy movies. Yeah. Sure, the with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, totally. They use way too much of the newer technology for things, and not as much real real props.
And then from that too, then Universal has also been making all their monster movies PG-13. Right? Whereas back then,
well, the warning right there.
Back then, the original monster movies were considered adult entertainment. They were like R-rated back then.
Yeah.
Right? So
why are they not R-rated now? But they don't have to be R-rated for sex and gore.
No. But it's just interesting to see, like,
or language.
What would happen? What'll happen if they make something that's made more of a monster horror movie? And that's one thing that I was excited about when John Murdy and his crew for Halloween Horror Nights made the Universal Monster Maze last year.
Yeah.
Right. And I was seeing the pictures and the videos from it, like, oh my goodness, it's like dark and creepy and there's blood and guts and it's scary looking. And the videos I've seen from Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, it's just intense. And it's like, you look at that and you're like, yes, make that into a movie, because the Wolfman isn't a hulking 8-foot tall thing that's tearing his skin off. It still kind of looks more like a wolf than Chaney did, but it still is smaller. It's still compact, and you've got all those things.
Well, you know what? It doesn't have to be this ginormous creature. I mean, even if he was regular man size, he still has the ability to, he has the teeth. Yeah. And he has the ability to hunt, and he's strong. That's still freaking scary.
But you look at every single werewolf movie now, everything tears their skin off. They all tear their skin off, they've got the long
they all look like giant.
Ever since American Werewolf in London, the muzzle thing had
long.
to
they
happen,
have to look like an actual wolf, just on hind legs.
And now after that, then after Van Helsing, all the werewolf movies kicked in where the legs had to get beefier, and they had to get that dog.
The dog look. They just look like giant
hulking dogs. Yeah.
Maybe that's why I never watched Wolfman and just pretend it didn't exist, because I'm terrified of werewolves, especially when I was younger. I can handle it now better, but I was terrified of werewolves. But it was that traditional look of the dogs more that that was to me, that was what it was at the time, right? So it was like, why would I watch a werewolf movie? But that is nothing compared to it. He kind of looks like a hairy man. Yeah. Right.
So that's just, even when they tried to do the Wolfman again with Anthony Hopkins and was it Benicio del Toro?
I think so. I can't remember.
That there, even everything got all hulking and weird, right?
Yeah.
And they got bogged down with the effects of it.
Yeah.
Right. And
because even like with him, he changed forms. He was laying in the hospital bed, and all it was him just in the Wolfman. Frankenstein Meets Wolfman there, and he was just laying there, and it was just different pulsating pictures of him slowly getting hairier. Yeah, that's the only thing that changed. Yeah, and it's still disturbing to think about. Like, why do we make it so grand and over the top? Right?
Yeah. And that's where I'm just wondering now Universal had canceled their whole dark universe because they were going to try to pull the Marvel card, and after The Mummy, it just completely tanked it.
Which is sad. I really like that movie, actually.
It's a lot of fun, and it had some great moments, but it just, because of what it did, it was too grand in a lot of cases.
It was too Tom Cruise action movie.
Yeah. Not enough horror.
Yeah, just I understand that reality, right?
What's interesting is because I got a buddy that absolutely hates Tom Cruise, but loved that movie. Yeah. Right. And
I think it was great.
And it's just interesting because so many people hate that movie. Right. And I was surprised that he was like, you know what? He's like, I cannot watch anything with Tom Cruise. He's like, but that Mummy movie was for him better than the Brendan Fraser stuff, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Which was awesome to hear. It shows that everything speaks to somebody.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. He found something.
Everyone's a fan of something, right?
Yeah.
But the idea, though, that Blumhouse is working with Len Wennell, I think it is. He co-created Saw and Insidious. Yeah. And they're going to be doing The Invisible Man. And it's going to be... So
they actually have horror people involved.
Yes, and R-rated horror people. Yeah. And
something like The Saw would be interesting then, because that... with a little bit more thought-provoking and a creepy scenario.
Yeah.
You know,
So I'm really curious to see how that's going to play off, because they said it's going to be rated R, and being under Blumhouse. Blumhouse makes all their movies dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Doesn't go too far.
So they can't go over the top.
They didn't hire any big name for it, right? Because originally it was going to be Johnny Depp that was going to play the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
And then that got canned, which I'm kind of okay with, because I not just on any of the stuff that he's been going through personally and all that. Just he's unfortunately been stuck as Jack Sparrow for his movies now. Yeah, he's not. He's stuck in a mold right now. Yeah. So I'm really curious to see where that'll go for sure. And I hope it reinvigorates their monster universe. And maybe if they find some success in going in this direction, then they can finally, move forward with some more things, which would be awesome. Because I know Jason Blum said that he wants to make a lot more known monsters. You know what? Honestly, I think if you could have a horror-based Mummy movie, that would be really sweet. Right? Because the Mummy right now is just so corny. In action. And I honestly... the theory of it lends itself to creep so easily between all the tombs and all that sort of stuff. Like, that could easily be creepy. Yeah. Bugs and the darkness and the creepy mythology and all that sort of stuff. Like, oh my goodness. So I think would be really honestly sweet. If they can find the simplicity and they can go forward with an R-rated universe, I think they could be getting some good bank. Because you think of all those characters, even like Creature of the Black Lagoon, right? Yeah. Why does it have to be a kid-friendly available now, right? And so I'm excited to see where they'll go with it. Yeah. I think with seeing the success of the two mazes too, I think that really has Universal looking at being like, hey, maybe people want scary. Yeah. Not just an adventure. Yeah. Which would be really cool. Yeah. And that was the beginning of our Halloween Horror Night movie-a-thon. We're going to be watching quite a few horror movies throughout this month. So get prepared for all the spooky things coming forward. Spooky there we go. See, I knew as soon as I said that would show up, so I needed that. But we're going to change gears a little bit. Kind of, almost. Yeah. I randomly went and saw Rambo Last Blood. I have a buddy that's a big fan of Rambo, and he called me up and he was like, dude, I need to see Rambo Last Blood. Like, go see it with me. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And luckily enough, I had a break in school that I didn't have any homework or anything like that. So I was able to go see that with him. Now, he is a huge Rambo fan. That is like, his like Spider-Man. That's his his jam. And so we went and we saw that. And what'd you think? It's a hard one because it didn't really feel like a Rambo movie. Yeah. And that was the thing that was kind of sad about it, was that he wasn't fighting so much for a people. He was fighting for revenge. Now, on the flip side, it was a great horror movie. It ties into this episode because it felt like a horror movie. It had like this moment. My best description was like, if you were rooting for Jigsaw to win, that's what Rambo became. Huh. And it's not a glowing review of it. No. There was what you told me, there was a lot of gore and it doesn't happen until like the last 10 minutes of the movie. Yeah. Right. It's pretty brutal. It has some interesting kills, but it didn't feel like a Rambo movie. It's really sad. It's really depressing. Some of the other Rambo movies, you felt like, he liberated a people. There's no like hope or resolve or like success and victory out of it. Yeah, really, and then the movie goes on its end credits. It goes into this weird like montage of like everything that happened from Rambo all the way through this one, and then it even like recaps this movie in the credits. That's weird. Before it then shows him riding off into the sunset. Like, honestly, it would have been better to recap the previous Rambo movies in the opening credits. Yeah, yeah. And then, like, remember how much you love this? Now we're going to watch this. Like, that would have made more sense at least. I don't really recommend it unless you're, like, really hardcore Rambo that you need to see. Yeah, complete it. It had its moments, but it just was not on par with the other ones. Yeah. I think everyone was like kind of hoping and expecting to see something Like, because like for as much as it was bloody, it still meant something. There was still purpose behind it. This didn't really have a purpose behind it other than revenge and how many dudes can we kill.
Oh, okay.
And
loses some of its heart then, right?
Yeah, it didn't have that, and that's why I say like it was an awesome horror movie, but not a great Rambo movie. So
okay, there you go.
That's my little, Mike went to the movies without Katie, so here's a review.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah. So going forward, this was our 50th episode. It was Universal Monsters. It is our 1-year anniversary.
So much happening,
right? It's just big. It's huge. So thank you to everyone that has been listening to us.
Yes, thank you very much.
We're not here without you, because if we got no ears to fill, then why be here? So thank you so much. We've had some kind words on our Instagram from our buddy Theo at Insane Dragon Ball. Thank you, dude, for being on the show and supporting us and promoting us. And and of course, the Spit Roast Pod with Adam and Heidi. They're always, promoting our show, and we really appreciate that. And if you guys haven't, from us, gone and watched it, we're more of a family. We're not a competing moment. We're this, Canadian-Irish,
just this worldwide,
phenomenon.
Network. Phenomenon.
Wait, did I overstep?
I like that word.
Right, and we've met a lot of great people doing this. Jonathan Bell and the dudes from the Brew Pill and all that. Justin.
Yeah.
And Adam, bunch of comics and all that. Like, there's a lot of people out there that we've met and really been able to bond with over this through all of our social media, and we thank you all for your promotion and your listening.
Yes, very much so.
So keep listening, because
we have some really awesome stuff planned too, for sure. So
yeah, and especially being October, it's all about the spooky stuff.
Yeah, what do we have up next week?
Next week, well, what do we got? We are going to dive into the world of killer clowns.
Well, we figured it's perfect because Joker is coming out.
That's right. We're going to go see the new Joker movie this weekend.
Yeah. Trying to go in with an open mind.
And we got free tickets to Joker.
Free tickets to help that open mind.
Right. So I'm curious to see, but in case it leaves us soured, we're going to watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a new thing for me, so I'm excited to break into the weirdness territory with that. Again, themed because of
Halloween Horror Nights has their maze of Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
So we're just going to try to pretend like we're there.
Yeah.
Living vicariously through the movies and stuff.
And then we'll go on Instagram and look at videos after and be like, oh my God.
And Michael cry, saying he wishes he was there.
Why did you take me?
Oh, yeah. So
that's another one in the can. Download us, like us, love us.
I was going to say I love us.
Leave us a review, all that kind of fun stuff, because we love hearing from y'all. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and stay rad.
Thanks for joining us, and have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. Want more rad content? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review.
And remember, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes!